Our youth are still standing. But how? Let's find out. This is Lifechangers with Ian.
I'm still standing better than I ever did. Looking like a true.
Well, hello everybody. I'm here with 19-year-old Brent Quick. Firstly, Brent, welcome to Youth Jam Radio.
Thank you. It's great to have being here.
You've come a long way, all the way from Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. You wouldn't know it. You're all Aussie now, though. And so Dad made his way over to Australia first, did he? And then the family came?
Yeah, so in 2004, my dad moved over to Australia just to ensure we had work here, that we could live our means off. We started off pretty basic. It was like starting again because we had to leave everything behind in Zim. Now we're in Australia. We're very fortunate to be well off, and we're very happy here.
You're a hard-working family, and we know that. But there were still some people left on the land, on farming and things. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we were the first family in our whole clan to migrate here to Australia. We had my auntie moved to England shortly after, but my grandma, my grandpa, and my cousins and my aunties, a lot of them still stayed in Zimbabwe for a while after we were.
Tough call. One side of the world to the other.
It's a hard one. Communication's obviously hard. Zimbabwe is not exactly a first world country, so keeping in contact with them was an issue at times. But yeah, we got together when we could on holidays, and we try to keep up with WhatsApp and that.
And just as a side note, and we might talk about this on a further interview, but we know your dad was really quite well known in Zimbabwe and internationally with his bodyguard work, which is a whole nother kettle of fish, but certainly has a very big backstory there.
Yeah, your dad worked in personal security. Obviously, the safety in Zimbabwe is a big thing. Wars and interracial conflict is ripe in that culture. But my dad worked as a private security officer for a minister in Zimbabwe by the name of Dave Coltart. Other people who he worked for, Oprah Winfrey, she came to Zimbabwe, he bodyguarded her. The president of Coca-Cola, Bill Gates, whenever they would come through the country, Dad had a great knowledge of it. Obviously, Dad had a very acquired skill set. He spent a lot of time away from us, whether it was taking care of the celebrities or just other farmers. For that, we like to, as a community, stay protective of each other.
Yeah, I could see that. And also the dad's elite level of physical fitness has been passed on to you and your family. We know is you've done a 1 hour 14 for a half marathon. That is a world-class time. We'll come back to that in just a minute. You've also represented Australia in under 14s in Poland. Now that was quite a big task, just getting to Poland, you and the team there.
Yeah, so the Volkswagen Junior Masters was the tournament. Out of, I think, 20 teams across Australia, we were the only team in WA to be chosen. We moved over to Sydney for a few weeks. Or was it a few weeks? We moved over to Sydney, and we started competing there in the tournament, which was to represent Australia, obviously going over to Poland. As WA, we felt a lot of pressure, obviously, coming down into a lot of teams there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Some other states don't really rate WA, but you had a ripping young team.
Yes, our team was full of talent. We had a very tight knit. We've been playing together. I think that was our strength. We've been playing together since we were very young, and our team had, as a club, we made a lot of other teams were hand-picked individuals from other clubs. The tournament was a success. Inevitably, we were a late finalist. Our game finished, and I think we played 10 minutes later into the final. It was against South Adelaide. Great game. It was raining. Just one of those really memorable games in my life that I'll always remember. Had like a goal-stopping save, and it was I think we won on penalties in the end, 4-3 penalties. So raining, finals, everyone's there, penalties, winning the game. It was a moment for my life to remember.
A very special moment. I know your coach pushed you boys particularly hard for that, and I wonder if that's helped you with your middle distance and long distance running, because there was also a Nationals race for the 1500 metres. Where was the Nationals held that year?
Nationals was actually held here in Perth at Challenge Stadium. It was quite sudden for me. States was 2 weeks or so before, and I wasn't expecting much going into it. Obviously, I did running, and I started off as just a fitness thing. I like to keep fit on the side, and it was mainly to progress myself as a football player, but inevitably became one of my things that I was better at. And so I started training with Paul, the Joondalup Running Club. He took me to States. I placed second, so I was the B division runner for Australia and for WA in the nationals race. It was a good experience, to say the least. Seeing how you can compete at that high level, real eye opener to probably what could have been.
Just a quick plug for Paul. He coaches for free and has coached many young runners to elite level, and I know some of those young people are on the Olympic pathway. So
yes, yeah.
I wonder if that also helped set you up for the half marathon success.
Yeah, so my running started off never, as I said, as something that was my first choice. I was so engrossed in football as a sport that a lot of things took a sideline. It only was through school doing cross-country events I realized that, maybe this was something that I should also take a look at. Short distance was not really my forte. 800 and 1500 are pretty different times. I progressed into more of a long distance runner, so I said to myself, look, why don't we give this half marathon? When you gave it to us that we could do this half marathon at Boston, I thought it was the perfect opportunity to test myself.
Well, you certainly tested yourself, because we know with 1 hour 14 minutes, a world-class time particularly for a younger athlete, but also there was quite a little bit of passing out over the finish line, no memory for the last 6 kilometres. There's crash and burn. I know, we call that the black zone or the twilight zone, where you go somewhere where you've never been before and you pushed, your body past whatever it's done before. Can you just put the listener in the scope there? You're running, you get to a point, you're running flat out. You get to a point where normally, quite reasonably, you'd either stop and walk or just have to stop, but your pace just kept going. There was 3 minute 30 kilometres and then just over 4 minute kilometres for the rest, and it was you just went into a zone that there was just no stopping, and only the very most courageous athletes ever go there. But can you just put us in that mind? What was actually like before you lost your memory?
Yeah, of course. Yes, I pride myself on not quitting. It's one of the things that I've put as a value and a virtue for me for so long. I've always wanted to try my best at things, give 100%. My dad always taught me that was very important in life, that if you're not going to go 100%, why would you go at all? The whole race was, it was shocking for myself. It was just a young guy's kind of ego. I was like, I don't need to train for this, done this before, going to smash it. Coming up to the half marathon event, I realized that I had only done, I think, 2 5Ks in the lead up. I was like, wow, I should probably check I could run this distance again. So on the Thursday morning, before that Saturday, I went off on my ego run there to run a 20K. Ran it pretty steady. I was like, that'll be all right. It was, I think it was only an hour 40. So it was just to see that I could get the distance. And then obviously got to the day of the event, had some toast for breakfast. Wasn't really conscientious of what this event is. This event will bite you if you don't respect it. It's a big thing about these endurance events. You got to respect the distance, got to respect the mental toughness, if anything, that it takes to go through one of these events. Started off the race well. Was obviously starting pretty fast times for myself. It was a 3 minute 30 kilometer for the first 6 or 7 Ks. I was sticking by this guy. I remember he was from the Fremantle Triathlon Club. I knew someone from the Fremantle Triathlon Club, so I was like, I'll pace myself off. I was actually coming, I think, 8th or something overall when I started off the race, and I realized that at that point maybe it was a bit too fast, but I was being a little bit arrogant, being a little bit pushing of myself. My father likes to push me. He always, my inspiration on those last few kilometers always comes from his kind of, it's a tough love, but it gets me through a lot of obstacles. He always told me that I should start strong, should finish strong, I should be strong in the middle somewhere there. So that's always got me through a lot. Around the I'd say the 8K mark was when I realized I probably made a mistake with how hard I went out at the start. I was still at a blistering pace, but I wasn't quite able to tell myself to slow down. I was just kept on going at that same pace. So even though you can see on my pace map, you can see that my pace doesn't actually drop very much. I would have expected it when I look back on it to go to maybe like an 8-minute K or something, but my pace was very similar throughout the whole race, marginalized from when I slowed down around the 8K mark. Got to the turnaround point around 10.5 Ks or so, and I was just like, wow, there is just so much more to go. And my legs were shot. I had blisters. I wasn't concentrating on my running style now, so I was more slapping the floor than anything. Blisters started popping. My shoe was just going absolutely like pink with the blood that was coming out my blister. Yeah, white shoes and
Those beautiful white shoes.
Beautiful white shoes that I love so much. Came back now, saw passing a lot of people. A lot of people were like, "Oh, you're okay." But I was just completely getting into that zoned out mode. It was something that I kind of reserve for a lot of my endurance events, where I'm allowed to almost see myself as a third presence. It's not the pain in the legs. It starts off with me concentrating on my breathing, and within a few minutes I'll be able to completely zone out of whatever pain I'm in. And I really needed it at that point in time. I needed to just zone out because I was in a lot of pain, obviously. I was still keeping around about the same pace, around a 4-minute mark. I came to the last 7 Ks, and from that point it was just, I was stumbling. As soon as I corrected myself, I remember telling myself, all right, we got to keep going, got to finish, got to keep moving now, because or else I was just going to go out. So at that point, I don't remember anything else. That was my switch off point. It was around 7 Ks to go. I wasn't with it. I remember going across the finish line. I remember looking for my family and all that. I remember sitting down, and then I remember hitting the ground. So that was completely it. It was just go, 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 and then obviously from all that, just completely wasted my body. Do not remember anything from those last 8Ks, and then woke up in the ambulance. Didn't really want to get taken to hospital. My dad was telling me I was fine, so I was like, just believe this guy, I'm fine. Yeah, got out the ambulance. I was shot for 3 days. 3 days I could barely walk. My nutrition was all messed up. My stomach, I was having major fevers and everything. Just pushed myself way beyond. And credit to that, probably my arrogance to training. So what my dad told me after that, just plain and simple, is that if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So yeah, it was a blessing and a curse. Got to take the good with the bad. Got a good time out of it. Got to love that. But yeah, that really rocked me, and it changed my perspective on those long distance events as well.
Well, I don't think there's any arrogance there, Brent. You're a very humble young man, but I think what there is a lot of mental toughness. This sort of mental toughness, friends, is often not seen in an athlete so young. So while this may be a lesson learnt, can only look forward to what's to come with Brent, and I certainly hope he has got some more marathon work and some things he still wants to achieve, and that this won't put him off. I don't think it will, but in terms of mental toughness, you've just come back from looking after around 40 young people. You're a part of a leadership team down in one of the wildest places in WA, down around Walpole and inland from there on the Bidman track. Now, this is part of your Bachelor of Outdoor Recreation at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And your second year on that already?
Yeah, so I'm entering my second year. I could have the option to progress faster, but I would like some more prac opportunities. So I'd say just beginning second year now.
Yep, and you've already got, there's a wilderness first aid, the ARQ, which is an aquatic rescue qual, kayaking qualifications, a skipper's ticket, scuba ticket, roping tickets. And these are essential skills, listeners, to someone who wants to look after young people in the wilderness, which Brent does very well. But Brent, did you find, after all your running and whatnot, you've got a 20 kilo or so backpack on. Did you find the hike tough, or was it not a problem?
I think that hike strongly corresponds with that marathon as well. So I've taken the same kind of principles of preparedness into my wilderness. So with that marathon, half marathon, I wasn't quite prepared as I'd like to be. In the wilderness, something goes wrong, you're not prepared, bad things can happen. You're not anywhere close to safety, you're not anywhere close to civilization. Preparedness is key, and that's something that I really take pride in. I take pride in packing the right stuff, packing the right first aid equipment, being ready for not just myself, but I want to be ready in case someone else isn't ready, and then I can help them. The pack that I was carrying at Bilman hike, probably 40 kgs of stuff. It was around 37, I think, when I packed it. Mine was like food or
So
something
you
like
were
that.
obviously carrying stuff for other young people. You know, you had extra first aid, I know, in there.
Yeah.
Potentially extra water just in case they hadn't brought enough.
Yeah.
Details like that to show a real mindset to look after other people.
Yeah, so we had an incident on the trail, verging on our first big day walking. We came across a storm on the beach, so we're just entering the beach trail now. When you're walking just along the shoreline, you see the black clouds roll over and just becomes very dark, and the rain comes in. It's just blistering rain, comes along from the side. It's the type that you want to look for shelter, but you're on the beach, like there's no shelter. You can't just like whip out your tent or anything. And it's testing even for leaders and for adults to just get hit by that rain. You don't want to be in it, and you know the kids are going to want to be in it at like less. They're really going to. So it was very important that we kept the kids moving at that point. Unfortunately, there was a young lady who just really didn't deal with this situation well. She had just been bitten by a mosquito, and she didn't have a very good reaction to that mosquito bite. It just seemed like things were going wrong for her. And when we looked back, we realized she didn't have a rain jacket on. So she was just getting the blunt end of this trauma right here. And she just stopped walking. She was like, that's it, like, I'm ready to go. She's shivering. With my wilderness first aid, I kind of recognized the early stages of hypothermia with her. So I try to keep an eye out for her. I did want to assess how serious the situation was, because she was still very verbal and very cooperating with us and everything. We got to the stage, we took her pack off, and I just walked behind her to check what she was doing. She was like swaying everywhere, and then she was very stuttering, and she was doing the umbles, what we like to say in the outdoor course, the umbles. They're grumbling, they're mumbling, they're stumbling. It's an early sign of hypothermia. So sat her down, got her friends to help her get into some dry clothes, because obviously wet clothes are the worst thing with all that wind and rain. By God's grace, there was the rain cleared up a little bit. Very thankful for that. Got her into a poncho in case it did start again. Wrapped her in a survival blanket. Got some hand warmers out. We have these 2 hand pocket warmers so that get nice and warm in that survival blanket. Had some down slippers, they're called. They're like very they're very warm for your feet. Threw those on for her. Threw a beanie on for her. Made her some tea. Wrapped a tarp around it. I think it could be even a little bit overboard, but we want to be sure when we're in the outdoors, because negligence is not something that can be cooperated with, especially when you're taking care of someone's kids. It's so important to be reliable and to be out there like ready for anything. Something that the course at Notre Dame has taught me so well. And just looking at from my first hike as a student to where I am now, perspective completely changed, like appreciation completely changed. The environment is just, kids don't often get outside as they would before. Kids don't go camping as much as they would before. And at Notre Dame, like we're developing leaders who are really trying to push that lifestyle over into kids' lives again. The outdoor recreation course in itself in schools is allowing us to do that, but showing kids how to live in the environment and how to respect it, how to get the best out of it is something that we find really important.
Well, that's certainly a high-level care that you showed that young person there, Brenty. But then also we know you have some life goals that may somewhat be dependent on finances. There are some major life goals here. There's a ascent for Mount Everest and the Swiss Alps.
Yeah.
There's something a little bit more gentle, I suppose, the snowboarding in Japan.
Yep.
But particularly the Swiss Alps or the Everest potential, that I think is very interesting, because obviously in those situations you will be then looking to other people who are qualified there to help train you and to help you on that journey when you get there.
Yeah, so the Everest goal started a few years back. My sister and my dad actually went to base camp at Everest. They both did that. My dad's 48 years old. He's still kicking it tough, you know. He likes to go to he's a diabetic. I respect him so much for what he did. Obviously, got to one-up it now. Got to go.
Yeah, of course.
That is the pinnacle of pushing yourself for me. I feel like there's a few things in my life that I want to do that are going to push me to that limit again. Like in the half marathon, where you just push to those absolute limits, and then you find out you can do it just that little bit more, just really develops you as a person. I find that being said, it's a very financial thing. It's so to do Everest, it's like 80k or 100k to climb. I know sometime now. Sponsorship is an option there. You can, but you have to climb a certain amount. You have to go before a committee. Say you've climbed this, this is what you've done. I want to have a go. There are still a lot of risks. It's a very serious expedition, summiting Everest. There's a lot of tragic deaths that have happened. Summiting, there's a lot of families who have paid the price for people's dreams like that. Just something I got to be prepared for. Other life goals are pretty simple. I love the Alps. Always dreamed of going to the Alps, of working in the Alps. I went to Japan a few years ago and I snowboarded there. And I think that's something that is awesome about outdoor rec, is that you find something like that you really love to do. And there's an avenue that you can get towards there. You can become a ski instructor or a ski medic or anything like that with your quals. You can do kayaking in Japan and then snowboard during the day or anything like that. I find that very enticing that I could be able to do that very soon.
Well, I know something else you do like to do. You have a special friend, and you do like to head out in the night time, and maybe it does involve finances and things like this. And we know there might be some other young guys out there like, where can I take my special friend out? Maybe in Joondalup area. Is there a recommended plan of attack here, Brent? Maybe, a hot chocolate first and dancing. I don't know what happens these days.
Are we talking
is there a single night that
my
works
chivalrous date ideas for the young gentleman out there?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there you go. The girls always love a sand churros hot chocolate. If they're not, they're going for some churros.
Yep.
You gotta start it off right, something sweet like that.
Yep.
But not too heavy, because you want to go to the dancing club next.
Yes.
Not exactly your.
Particularly with your special friend, who is a very good dancer.
My girlfriend Leah. Shout out to my girlfriend Leah.
What a champion.
An absolute angel. Very lucky man. There are a lot of clubs in Joondalup that do the modern dancing, but I prefer to go out dancing to 70s songs. I grew up on country music.
Country music.
That was me.
70s songs.
I get a lot of backlash from that, but grew up with country music. I love country music. I love 70s music, 80s music. I'm not partial to anything, but that would probably be my favorite style.
Oh, so is there? If there was a song that the boss Isaac would play after the interview, is there one that would link in with 70s country music? Maybe Rhodes might be in there somewhere, coming home after an adventure, this sort of situation. I don't know. Is there a song that would work for all of those things?
I tell you what, I know exactly the song you're talking about. A song that I love to listen to when I'm heading down that long stretch, down to Walpole or down south to Dwelling Up, and that you reach those farms on the left and right hand side, and it's just that one road, that one country road.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My song would be Country Road by John Denver.
Oh, well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Brent, and a privilege. I certainly hope. I'm going to talk to the big man, the boss here, and my 16-year-old boss, he certainly lets me have it. I'm going to. We will have to definitely get you back after another adventure. I'm sure that'll be excellent, and thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.